It seems odd, but a century ago the area where the Zuidas is currently located used to be a cross-section of where two polders met. The Buitenveldert suburb wasn't built yet, and you could see the unspoiled countryside. This picture stays the same until the 60s, when the A10 highway is constructed. After this, the scenery undergoes a rapid transformation, with the development of the building of the Vrije Universiteit in 1973, and a decade later the rise of the World Trade Center building. However, the main focus of the municipality of Amsterdam was still on the development of the South Eyeovers. This changed when new plans for the Zuidas area were made up, beginning in 1991. Even more instrumental was the decision of the ABN AMRO Bank to establish their new headquarters near Schiphol and Station Zuid. In these plans, the focal point was the construction of office space to increase the competitiveness of the city of Amsterdam. The World Trade Center, VU and RAI are chosen to be the center of the development plans, which also emphasizes the need for adequate transport links to the Zuidas. This development spur continues into the 21st century. Even the financial crisis from 2008 can't stop the high development rate of the Zuidas, although there were minor changes to the dish.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Cooking with Planners. My name is George Cookin.
And I'm Theresa January.
And we're going to cook the Zuidas for you today. Now there's a lot of different recipes and we'll give it our own nice little twist.
Okay, so the first ingredient, public land owning, will be prepared by Theresa January. Public ownership serves to remove land from the market and socialize rents in the process. Public ownership and leasing of land can be used to generate profit, much as commercial landowners do, and to deploy these for other public benefits. Uplift of value is possibly created by infrastructure provided by the government. Economic rent is any payment to an owner or factor of production in excess of the cost needed to bring that factor in production. Holding land under permanent public ownership can ensure that socially desirable uses are preserved in particular locations when market forces would dictate that they make way for more profitable uses.
As I have now prepared the first ingredients, George here will prepare the second ingredients, namely compulsory purchase. Compulsory purchase is that the state either uses its power to buy or the land was already in their possession in order to develop ground projects that serve the people living in the area. For example, part of the Zuidas used to be communal gardens. They made way for expansion of VU. Personally, I don't use this spice a lot, but it is still used regularly by others. The third ingredient to establish the flavor ownership is private land investment and land pooling. The diversion of economic rent from private profit to public benefit can be achieved if landowners are prepared to invest in their land for the long term rather than seeking maximum sale prices at the start of the development process. Landowners can share an interest in the quality of new developments over the long run. Incentivizing landowners to pool their land assets into partnerships is common in the Netherlands.
What do you think, Theresa January?
Well, George, I think there's still an ingredient missing.
Well, that would be the fourth ingredient, community land ownership and other non-market models. A community land trust, abbreviated CLT, are non-profit, develop housing and have long-term community benefits. A CLT typically does this by separating by the value of the building from the land that it stands on. The land is owned by the CLT and leased to households who purchase the homes that sit on the CLT. So that was the first phase of the meal.
It already looks delicious.
To spice things up, we add another flavor in the form of tax reform. The ingredient is land value tax. Land value tax captures the economic rent and it's the least disturbing way of taxing. It's supporting investment and productive activity. There are, however, some challenges. These are that it requires land values to be assessed fairly and accurately on a regular basis, which nowadays isn't happening. The challenge of identifying the site value of land separately from any improvements. The imposition of a large value tax overnight could create undesirable side effects with regard to households' wealth and financial stability. And a savings issue. They are unpopular because of their visibility.
The second flavor. And now the third flavor, financial reform. Financial reforms are reforms to the banking and wider financial system to wean it off land as its main means of de-risking lending. In order to create this flavor, credit guidance and structural reforms are added. In credit guidance, the central bank determines desired GDP growth and then calculates the necessary amount of credit creation. Subsequently, we add structural reforms to the banking sectors. This entails relationship banking, which means that the banking sector builds a relationship with customers. They de-risk their loans not by requiring property as collateral, but by building up strong and long-lasting relationships and an understanding of the business they lend.
As you can see, the dish is coming along quite well. We're adding a lot of spices to prevent our dish from ending up like New York dish, described by Wolf Bowers, which is a lack of mixed use and a lot of high-end residential buildings. Our third ingredient is establishing state housing and investment banks. Such banks play a key role in funding both affordable homes and the large-scale infrastructure that is required for new housing development. A housing investment bank could access funding from several sources. To obtain this ingredient, the government could capitalize the bank by issuing government bonds. The housing investment bank could borrow directly from capital markets. It could be financed by the central bank purchases of bonds it issued via quantitative easing. And a final alternative would be to take deposits from households. A fourth ingredient could be alternatives to bank financing, to bank debt financing. An example of this is the Islamic way of financing mortgages, where resident households and bank become the joint owners of a property until it's fully repaid by the residents. So the bank and the household are share the responsibility. Another example of this is a sovereign money system, where only the central bank would have the power to create new money.
Now we're going to let this simmer for a few minutes. In the meantime, George Cookin is going to prepare the fourth flavor of this dish. The fourth flavor is called tenure. This term refers to the legal forms under which land is owned, occupied, and used. This flavor consists of another 4 ingredients. The first ingredient is called leasehold-freehold system. This system can allow individuals to own leasehold property with sufficiently secure title to raise finance while preserving the public interest in the land itself in the form of freehold, which can command annual payments of ground rent. Housing tenures can be designed to give occupiers full ownership, while restricting the value at which they can sell their homes when they choose to do so that the lucky first beneficiary can't capture the land value rise. This ingredient is called restricted sale tenures. The third ingredient to establish the flavor tenure is called time-limited lease. This is a model in which a pension fund finances social housing construction on land acquired from a local authority. The fourth ingredient of this this flavor is called diversified housing tenure. Policy can foster a pluralism of housing models to level the playing field between tenures and ensure enough homes are provided so that people have reasonable choices and are not incentivized to overinvest in home ownership. Germany and Switzerland, two of the most successful economies, have this type of diversified housing models.
We don't need the cookbook of Jamie Oliver anymore. We got Ryan Collins. So let's add this to our ingredients. I like it.
Me too.
Yes. So the fifth and final flavor is planning reform. One example of a planning reform is planning gain or betterment. This is the capture of the uplift in land value.
So now that we have added all the ingredients, we're going to let this dish simmer for another 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes of simmering, this should be your end result. Our final dish, the Zuidas. As you can see, we've created a Zuidas with more residential zones. This was also mentioned in the bestemmingsplan of the Zuidas. The increasement of the residential zones in the Zuidas and the business and economic district that it is today combined together will create an enhanced position of the Zuidas in the world, which is positive for the MRA and also thus for the Netherlands.
Hi guys, so my name is P.T. Blinders and only recently I've moved from London to Amsterdam because the company I work for, the European Medicine Agency, will move to Amsterdam somewhere in the near future as well. So, I live and I work at the South Axis in Amsterdam. Now, Theresa and George have asked me to rate their dish, so I'm gonna taste that shortly. And I really hope to see some diversity, because when I work somewhere and I live somewhere, I don't want my life to be one grey mess. So I really hope they've put some different functions, different people in there. Let's see how it's gonna taste. So, I hope you guys can see it. This is that dish. It's the South Axis. It smells really good. I'm gonna just nibble on this little part first. It's pretty good. Alright, well, I gotta say I really like this dish, but I do think it's kind of spicy, you know, with the land value tax in there. I love the idea of capturing the economic rent so that can go back to the public. However, I do think that it's kind of daring in the current political stage with a neoliberalist government, obviously. Furthermore, a lot of new residential housing. I like it, you know, that's me going to be socializing with others. Some mixed functions as well. We see the stadium in the back and a little municipality building. I absolutely love that as well. Now, I am quite concerned because I think this is a quite leftish dish that the MRA, which has recently been released, which wants like a lot of economic growth, is not going to be happy with this dish. So that's not a tension I can feel there. I do really like, and this has always been so throughout the entirety of Amsterdam, if I'm not mistaken, that is the ground lease that they've got. So that the municipality keeps the ground or the land that the property developers and the property investors build and invest on, which can also capture a little bit of economic rent and can also be invested back into the public, which is kind of going to be me, obviously. So I really like that. I really like to see the developments that are there. And I look forward to tasting the next dish of George and Theresa, hopefully sometime soon. All right, thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Pildet and I've been living in Buitenveldert for over 30 years. I've just tasted the dish and to be quite honest, I wasn't too fond of it. And I will elaborate why. Buitenveldert was the neighborhood where I grew up, and I always thought that this would also be the neighborhood where I would die. However, the Zuidas might change my plans. To my taste, the neighborhood is undergoing quite some changes these last couple of decades due to the Zuidas. I live at the Boelerlaan, so I've witnessed these changes from day to day, and I brought a picture for you as well. In this picture, you can see that there were 5 football pitches and over 30 or 40 tennis fields. But this all changed when the ABN AMRO Bank settled in 1999. My beloved football pitches turned into a building excavation that would last over 20 years. And nowadays, this process is still taking place as well. About 5 years ago, my tennis club got removed. And recently, a small forest where pigs lived got removed as well. And in 2021, the football club where my children play is set to leave as well. And this is because they find themselves in between of the VU, so the Free University, the VU Medisch Centrum, which is the hospital, and the Zuidas itself. They all want to expand, and this has turned these football pitches, into the most expensive football pitches of Amsterdam, and maybe even into the most expensive football pitches of the world. I'm very fed up. And what to think about the urban gardening? All the neighboring schools used to go there to harvest and grow potatoes, carrots, onions. It's a shame, it truly is. But what I dislike most about this dish is that I don't recognize myself in this neighborhood anymore. All my neighbors have left. They either rent out their places through Airbnb or they've sold their place to expats. So this neighborhood has truly become a place for living and working only. But only for those who can afford it, the expats, because I can afford the same schools, jobs or gyms they go to. And to make it even worse, I recently read in the OECD report and in the land use plan of the Zuidas that they will be reconstructing the A10 highway and the Zuidas station. For me this means 20 more years of noise disturbance and building machines running through my streets. I'm truly considering moving to Purmerend or Almere, because I can't live with this situation any longer. The only advantage the Zuidas has brought me is that the market value of my house has gone up.
Next week on Cooking with Planners, we'll prepare a dish called Maasvlakte 2.